Organ transplants are saving millions of people around the world. Transplant patients are living healthy and productive lives. We have a cure. Many countries have high rates of organ donation. Canada has one of the lowest. One Canadian wanted to do something about this. In 1997, liver transplant recipient George Marcello took his first step. The Step-by-Step organization was formed. His walk from Toronto to Ottawa was the first of 5 major campaigns by the fitness promoter to raise awareness and address the critical shortage of organs donated.
There is a lot of hope ahead if we pull together.
From there, George Marcello vowed to go further.
To do whatever I can while I have this new life, and it is a small sacrifice for the gift of life.
All right, thanks very much, George, and good luck.
Thank you.
After further cuts in healthcare spending, and specifically from the Multi-Organ Retrieval Exchange program,
we have, like so many other organizations funded by government, just had a funding cut, one more funding cut. And George is going to be raising awareness, I think, very significantly.
George's main goal was to get the attention of the Harris government. And he got it.
Like me, thousands of people across Ontario were inspired by George Marcello and a whole step-by-step team as he walked across the province. And that's why I invited George to join me in the legislature for the throne speech, our inaugural throne speech this session.
Members of the Legislative Assembly, invited guests, fellow citizens, welcome to the 37th Parliament of the Province of Ontario. The throne speech tradition is a symbol of our parliamentary democracy, in which the government is accountable to the people's representatives in Parliament. Members of Parliament represent the ultimate authority, before whom the government, through the throne speech, presents in the government's own words its plans and priorities for the years ahead. The miracles of modern medicine help many live well, but some patients' survival depends on the selflessness of others. George Marcello waited years for a donor before his life-saving transplant in 1995. This year, he walked across Ontario to increase awareness of organ donation. In response to Mr. Marcello's mission, and on behalf of the people of Ontario, Premier Harris has accepted as a Millennium Challenge the goal of doubling the organ donation rate by 2005. Your government is developing an organ donor action plan that, through outreach and education, will raise public awareness and improve registration. A new Premier's Advisory Board on Organ Donation, headed by hockey legend Don Cherry, will recommend complementary initiatives.
Donation rate falls behind many other countries. More people need to hear what a difference they can make by simply signing an organ donor card, and most importantly, by discussing their wishes in advance with their family. And that's why I'm happy to see George working so hard to raise awareness. Like me, thousands of people across Ontario were inspired by George Marcello and the whole step-by-step team as he walked across the province. And that's why I invited George to join me in the legislature for the throne speech, our inaugural throne speech this session. And at the same time, as you know, we announced the advisory committee to raise awareness with George's help, and we asked Don Cherry to be honorary chair of that advisory committee. And I don't know, maybe he can appear on stage. He can sing. Have you ever heard Don Cherry sing?
That sounds like a very scary.
Well, we're trying to leave no stone unturned here in how we can reach just as many people as we can. George's Ontario Walk was an unqualified success, helping thousands of people to choose to sign for organ donation, and I know he can do the same through the Cross Canada Walk. In closing, George, I believe I can speak for everyone here today in wishing you the best of luck as you embark on your coast-to-coast journey, and I can assure you you have my support and our government's support, and any support that I can bring. I'll be meeting, in fact, with the premiers from across the country early in February, and I'll enlist support from them, so you'll have a friendly reception as you go from border to border across this country. We all look forward here, too, to giving you another warm welcome as you come through North Bay again on your Cross Canada. Just because you've been here twice doesn't mean you can skip us, on the Cross Canada Walk. We committed in the throne speech to doubling Ontario's organ donor rate. We'd like to see that happen across Canada. I believe North Bay is ready to do its part, and if we can just spread out as a little pebble in a pond sprinkles out across that pond, if we can now spread that feeling and enthusiasm that began this summer with Julie and with George here, I believe that we can accomplish that goal. So thank you for being here for this important day. I hope everybody enjoys the concert. Jeffrey's ready to sing and clap, I'm pretty sure. And I think North Bay is ready to lead Ontario in organ donation.
What we need to do is bring as much awareness and education to each and every Canadian in Canada. I think some of our legislation also needs to be changed also. Some of the other countries of the world that are experiencing great success in organ donations have such things as national registries and mutual consent. Just to touch on my upcoming 500-day trek, we're going to be starting in May of 2000, and we're going to be kicking it off in Toronto, and I'll be walking for 500 days straight, and it'll be for over 12,000 kilometers that I'll be doing this walk, and we're going to be doing this in conjunction with hundreds of organizations, and we're also going to have a torch, and we're calling it the Torch of Life, that will be passed from one community to the next, and it'll be passed through thousands of hands, and that'll be the families that have donated organs, people on the waiting list, people that have experienced a loss of their loved one waiting for organs, and politicians, and all different walks of life will be carrying this torch of life.
A new Premier's Advisory Board on Organ Donation, headed by hockey legend Don Cherry, will recommend complementary initiatives.
The Premier's Advisory Board went on to become the Trillium Gift of Life Network. Neither Step by Step nor George were invited to participate.
The provincial agency's position did not discourage George.
I just want to add, on behalf of the legislature, our respect for what's being done here today. We've got an individual showing what one person can do, and in George's case, he's already shown what one person has already done.
On June 20th, 2000, George attempted yet his biggest challenge, a walk across our big country. He woke up Ontario, he vowed to wake up Canada about organ donations.
This time, he took with him the Torch of Life, a torch that would be touched by over 1 million Canadians. And one very special person from Poland. In the middle of his walk across Canada, George received a call from the Vatican inviting him to an audience with the Pope. After meeting George, Pope John Paul II proclaimed that organ and tissue donation is a genuine act of love and encouraged the entire world to become donors. George came back to finish his walk across the country, facing his second arduous winter.
And this walk can reach every Canadian from coast to coast and leave them with a good feeling when they think about organ donations. And we're also trying to encourage and strongly inspire the government to take some more steps into, changing the system.
The walk did indeed get the attention of the federal government. Then Health Minister Alan Rock announced the formation of a National Organ Council with an immediate $20 million in funding.
In order to help us with this process of awareness, I'm delighted to say that Her Excellency the Governor-General of Canada has agreed to participate in the campaign as an honorary patron. And speaking of awareness, I want to acknowledge the presence here today of a man who is himself the recipient of a donated organ, whose life was renewed as a result, and has been spending the last few months walking across the country, carrying a torch, talking to families and Canadians along the way, bringing home the point that we should all be aware of the importance of organ donation. George Marcello, congratulations and thank you for what you've done.
Thank you, George. There it goes, George.
While walking across Canada, George met a young man in Sarnia that captured his heart. Christopher's wish had an emotional impact on Canadians, especially the kids. Chris became an idol. George and Christopher visited over 200 communities across Canada.
From our journey, from the Canada 769-day walk, we're passing the torch of life to the youth of our nation and to the mayor of your town of Sarnia.
Are you actually going to light it, or are we just going to pass it? Yeah. You're trained in this?
Yeah.
You're fully trained?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
My name is George Marcello, the founder of this organization, and this, of course, is Christopher beside me. Christopher needs a liver transplant. He has needed a liver transplant all his life. We were hoping this year, while we were walking from community to community, that his beeper was going to go off. Every day we prayed that that beeper was going to go off.
The last stop on the tour was Iqaluit, Nunavut.
Our family's loss seems more than they can bear, but from love comes the strength to pass it on, a gift of life that once was there. Life's road is winding, journey starts step by step winding.
Have a chance of living
there
on.
could be no greater wealth. Your final gift is life itself. Your choice may help the family cope one loss another.
more work still needed to be done. George started the SOS 4000 campaign, an urgent call to all Canadians to help save the nearly 4,000 Canadians on the transplant waiting list. George traveled to Spain, Italy, and France on a fact-finding tour. These countries lead the world in organ donations, and George gathered information that would become of great benefit to Canada. Unfortunately, George became sick in Paris, France, and the tour was cut short. Liver disease had raised its ugly head again. Not knowing whether he was going to see another sunrise, George started to reflect on the last 9 years. George looked back on how he had been constantly challenged, physically, mentally, and spiritually. He lost both his parents while on his walk campaigns. His passion had no bounds, his focus straight as an arrow. And being a genuine and sincere person, this helped him connect with many. George had met many individuals that had a direct effect on him and this issue. Their stories are amazing and still need to be told. Step by Step inspired over 2,000 positive media stories. Many, many people were reached. Step by Step had inspired over 1,000 officials from all 3 levels of government. They were the first to approach schools, over 500 in total. They brought their message to malls, sporting events, the armed forces, festivals, communities, churches, and anyone else who would listen. By the grace of God, George found himself back in Toronto. Miraculously, 10 days later, George received a second life-saving transplant on his 50th birthday. Thrilled to be brought back and given another chance at life, George held a press conference a mere 9 days after the surgery.
This is a plea to our Prime Minister Martin, and all the premiers across Canada. Please make organ and tissue donation a priority in our country. And with that, happy to turn the floor over to Barbara Fisher, and following her speech, any questions that need to be asked could be addressed to me, or if there's specific questions to ask Barbara, she's here to answer them. Thank you.
Thanks, George, and good morning, everybody. I'm involved because I care. I am a past member of the government that, in fact, funded the Ontario Trillium Gift of Life Network to the tune of $120 million. In 1999, Premier of the day, Premier Harris, made that commitment to Ontarians to move forward on the issue. It was because of George's work that, in fact, that fund was set up. It was introduced in a throne speech, and work began. It wasn't until about a year ago now, or maybe not even that long, that I met George personally, and it was through a friend that said, this is a person you need to meet.
Than ever ready to take the next step. In his SOS 4000 campaign, he is vowing to take Canada from the bottom to the top when it comes to organ donations.
want to begin by thanking George for your work to create this powerful symbol, the Torch of Life. It's gained a lot of attention, it's traveled to hundreds of communities, it's even been blessed by the Pope. But as with any journey, it started with a single step, and you, George Marcello, were the person with the hope and determination to take it. You yourself received the gift of an organ donation, the gift of life. And your efforts since have given more people the second chance at life that you cherish each and every day. And so it really is a privilege for me to have held the torch of life in my hands beside Bernice here a moment ago. I never actually got to hold that thing.
Actually, we're going to pass it to you right now.
Thank you very much. I want to congratulate Bernice on being Toronto's torch champion. I give the torch back to you. You've made us all very proud. And I'm sure I speak for myself, Ontarians, and all your friends and classmates, including those who have come out here today from Westview Centennial Secondary School. Okay, cheer for yourself. Engaging young people is such a great way to carry this torch forward. Any one of us can be a champion for organ donations. We can encourage family, friends, and people in our community to talk about giving the gift of life. Too many of our fathers, our mothers, our sons, and our daughters are on the organ transplant waiting list. Over 1,600 people in Ontario alone. But awareness can make all the difference, and that's why Torch for Life is so important. The message is clear and simple. Anyone can be an organ donor. I want to thank the Trillium Gift of Life Network for coordinating organ transplant programs in Ontario and for getting results. We need more organ donations in Ontario so that people like George get the second chance at life that they deserve. Together we're making important progress in awareness, but there is more to be done. Sadly, every 3 days, the organ donation waiting list is one person less because they couldn't wait any longer, they couldn't survive. It doesn't have to be that way. And I believe that with people like Bernice spreading the word, together with the other young people here and right across Canada, that we can and will do better. So let's keep working together, because an organ donation can bring life back to someone. Let's each one of us be a champion for organ donations, because each one of us can give the gift of life. Thank you very much.
It's difficult, if not impossible, to imagine peace between Israelis and Palestinians. But here is a story about people hardened by war and mistrust who, because of a single act of generosity, are forced to look at each other in a different way.
In Jenin, a Palestinian boy was playing with a toy gun outside. Israeli defense forces, which were operating in the area, thought it was a Kalashnikov and shot him. Israeli forces were in Jenin looking to arrest wanted jihad militants, but it escalated into a real battle. The army's entrance into Jenin today ended up hurting someone innocent. Ahmed Khatib was critically wounded by an Israeli bullet and transferred to Rambam Hospital here in Israel.
Good evening. A Palestinian boy dies in Rambam Hospital. and his parents decide to donate his organs. 6 Israelis will receive the heart, kidneys, lungs, and liver of little Ahmed.
Among those who received Ahmed's organs, a 12-year-old Druze girl named Samah Gadban, who got his heart. One of Ahmed's kidneys went to a 5-year-old Bedouin boy named Mohammed Kabwa. Ahmed's other kidney went to a 3-year-old Orthodox Jewish girl, Menuha Rivka Levinson.
Say hello. Say hello. Zayanda. Zay. You say hello?
A British student who was injured when a suicide bomber blew himself up on a bus in Israel has died.
I think everybody felt it was their loss. He was a Scottish boy, and that it didn't matter that he was a Jewish boy. For once there was some positive angle, some hope for the future. He just knew what he wanted to do and what he was going to achieve, and he went for it. I've often visualised Yoni full of the joys of life, running to the bus. Part of me feels that his feet took him to the place where he was going to die.
Five people were killed. Among the dozens injured were 2 18-year-old students from Glasgow. One of them, Yoni Jesner, is in a critical condition.
I think we more felt that maybe this was something, you know, a wee positive thing that we could do. It was so shocking for us. The moment we heard, what do you think of the fact that your son's kidney has been donated to a Palestinian girl?
7-year-old Yasmin Abu Ramila slowly recovers in the intensive care ward at a children's hospital in Tel Aviv after being given the pressure.
Like the Palestinian family, and not just their family, but the Palestinian people, to see that as a very positive message. It was a really special moment to meet them, especially with myself and Dina. I was crying at that point and she came forward to hug me, and that really meant a lot to me. And I felt at that moment she really felt my sadness, and I also felt her helplessness, because what could she do? That her greatest happiness was my greatest sadness.
carried the torch of the, oh my god, sorry. Okay, I have carried the torch of HAB to 71 cities and towns in Ontario in 110 days. Today is my last day and I am very happy to pass the torch to Yael. 11 years ago, 2001, Pope John Paul II said, let the young people carry the torch and the can change the world. Let's all try the weekend. Thank you. And I have something. This one is for Yael. She birthday 2 days ago. Just now I want to give her.
First of all, I just want to say how moving and emotional it is for Yael and I to be part of this incredible event. It really is wonderful, and our thoughts today are with George, and we just can't believe that he's not actually here with us, and the culmination of his fantastic hard work that he's poured his life and soul into for so many years. I know that all our loved ones who pass on and who are no longer with us, they're never out of our thoughts and minds, not for 1 minute. And I know that I also speak for you, Khalid, and for all those who've lost loved ones, either timely or untimely, when I say that it's just the best thing you can possibly do to take your loss and to turn it inside out and to let it be an instrument to bring some good into this world. And I hope and pray that more and more people will commit themselves now to being donors, because it really is the most fantastic gift. What we're witnessing here today is a moment in my life that I really will never forget. What's just happened here brings home to everyone how out of death and tragedy we can bring life and happiness. Everyone can and must make their own miracle by signing up to be a donor now. Just go to beadonor.ca. Thank you.
Hello everybody. In February 28, 2012, when I left here at Queen's Bar to go on this long journey, I feel like I was on Star Trek. George has told me to name only 71 cities and towns, and I will try. Here I go. Kenora, Dryden, Fort Francis, Thunder Bay, Nibigan, Dryden, Sarnia, Chatham, Brampton, Toronto. Here I am finished. 110 days. 71 cities and towns. In what's that?
3 words.
Words. 3 words to explain my journey. I love Toronto. And I love the people. I love hockey. And I love Boston Pizza, Ville Parmesan. I love Merit Hotel. And I love saying A. Sorry, I lied. I said more than 3 words. Please do not let this dream die. My next step is Canada. I love Canada. Thank you.
Cynthia Mulligan with how Campbell helped to carry the torch of life on the final leg of its cross-province journey. Cynthia.
Khaled Khatib has walked for 110 days, carrying the torch of life through 71 cities and towns in Ontario, all to promote organ donation. His family, who is Palestinian, gave the gift of life after his brother was accidentally killed by an Israeli soldier.
My family donate organs. Ahmad, his name Ahmad, for 5 Israeli children.
This day is full of so many triumphs of the human spirit. When Khaled started his torch journey, he told Hélène Campbell that he was carrying it for her and she wasn't going to need oxygen tanks when he finished. He was right.
Here I am, I can put it near my face. Not too close then. With oxygen I wouldn't have been able to do that.
Hélène Campbell was on oxygen and running out of time when she received a double lung transplant in April. She captured the world's attention with her spunk and quest to raise awareness about organ donation.
And this is the torch of life, representing people like me and people in the future.
Incredible story of 2 organ donations and how they're affecting peace.
Hélène Campbell has become the face of organ donation in Canada, but the young man handing her the torch has a touching story of his own. His name is Khaled Khatib. When his 11-year-old brother Ahmed was killed by an Israeli soldier, his organs were donated and helped save the lives of 5 Israeli children. And then there's Marsha Gladstone. Her 19-year-old son Yanni was killed by a suicide bomber in Israel, and his kidney was donated to a young Palestinian girl. Both Marsha and Khaled took part in the Torch of Life walk across Ontario, raising awareness of the need for organs. Both of them join us in studio now. Thank you so much for telling your story and sharing it with us. What was that moment like, passing the torch for you?
It was so emotional. Actually, my daughter took the torch from Khaled, and it was like the merging of 2 different continents, really, because we come from opposite sides of a divide. But the truth is that when it comes to ordinary people, there really is no divide. And that's what just hit me, you know, at that time, that it's just all about people.
Emotional and moving moment that we're all together here in this miraculous, fabulous place, one of the wonders of the world, I think. And we are a wonder of the world, really, so it's just so fitting that we're here from across the divide, from Israel via Scotland, from Israel via Palestine, and we're together on this all the way. It's individuals and lives that matter, and their brothers, my son, have given their organs. Doesn't matter who it's to. What matters is the life. Please join with us. Go to beadonor.com. Be a donor now. It's the most important gift you'll ever.
It's so exciting, and it's such an honour for Yael and I to be here with you all today, and to have been able to be a part of a week full of such unforgettable and beautiful experiences. Right from the moment our tickets were booked, I said to you, George, that I felt that this was a fairy tale. And to a great extent, that's exactly what it has been. And that's what we've been living for this past week. One man's dream has come true. It's come to life. And yet Elle and I have been part of that dream. And it truly has been the greatest honour to have been involved in this fantastic series of events, all aimed at making this country sit up, and hopefully the world, sit up and take note and see what can happen through one man's vision, through love. 2 families brought together across a divide in the most extraordinary of circumstances, only to discover that when it comes right down to it, there really is no divide. Amongst Yanni's belongings he had with him on that fateful day on the bus, we discovered a list of aphorisms, sayings about life that he had been writing. These have been used over the years to inspire school children and students to develop a feeling of community responsibility. A person who is only concerned with himself will wake up one morning
question his worth. The person who gives his time and effort to others will know his worth when he sees the fruits of his labours. I hope that all the labours that you, George, have poured into the torch of life with your heart and soul will indeed bear wonderful fruits, and that you will be blessed with good health to carry on and the strength to take your project further and further. Thank you so much for inviting us.